Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright people, review of the week time. So, just gonna go straight into all this, right? This day last week, I imagined I'd be doing a live on the post-fight for Conor Benn, Chris Eubank. I imagined that review of the week would be talking about what's next for both guys in terms of winner, loser, etc. But things have a habit of changing pretty quick. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst. And obviously in this occasion, it was just a real, when it broke, we were all kind of like, what? Yeah, when the news about the failed PED test broke, so how I found out was, I literally was, I think, sitting in work and I was just on my phone, just set up, going to Twitter. I think it was Dave Coldwell, I think it was him, who just said, this is not what we need. And it didn't have any context to what he was referring to. I was like, it's a bit weird, and okay. And then I think I seen someone else post something, boxing doesn't need this or something like that. And I was kind of like, am I missing something? So I was like, I got on to Mike Coppinger, maybe he's broke news or something. I was like, there's nothing. I was like, okay, but Benson say anything? I was, no, not there. I do a Google search on boxing news. I don't get anything. I was like, what are these on about? And then I think it was Sam Jones who tweeted something similar, and I was like, I'm going to read the comments. And then I was like, oh, God, no. I was like, really? So we're in this situation now. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. postponed. It's been a doozy, hasn't it? We're hearing, like, it's crazy because it was leaked to the Daily Mail, and this test was reportedly failed sometime in September. Both teams were made aware on the 23rd, but it's believed that the failed test was received sometime, I think it was, when was it? They said it was like the start of September or something like that. Just there was a text I was reading at the same time there. I should always keep your phone off flight mode. But it was sometime early in September. So had that news not have been leaked, this fight would definitely have gone ahead in my opinion, and it would have been swept under the rug. And the question actually really is, if the leak hadn't have come out, would we have even known at all? Because think of it like this, right? Think of it like this in the broader sense. How often have we seen fighters after, say, a big fight or something? And I'm not saying that this happens with every fight, just hear me out. But let's say Conor Benn had won. Let's say the leak never happened. Conor Benn had won. Eddie Hearn could turn around and be like, well, Ben has injuries, he's a bit tired. Sometime late next year, maybe next summer or maybe September next year, take a good long rest. You're young enough. And that could be a suspension. But none of us would have been any the wiser. It's really crazy just to think about what could have been. What might have happened if someone hadn't leaked it. And again, it does make you kind of see and think, did Chris Eubank Sr. know something about this? Because how vocal he was about this fight being stopped. And look, we saw Chris Eubank Jr. on Saturday weigh in at 159 pounds. And he didn't look good. He looked aesthetically very good. But look at his face. Look how drawn he looked. His eyes just looked gone in his head. He didn't look good at all. I mean, aesthetically, you'd look at him and say, gee, he's ripped. But I'd say physically he wasn't feeling good at all. And plus you took a rehydration clause on that. Could have been pretty dangerous. That's all I'm saying. Could have been a pretty dangerous night. Both promoters, and Callum Sauerland can't, he's not as white as the driven snow, no pun intended. But he can't say anything either, because he was trying with Eddie Hearn to get this fight on. And that's his fighter. His fighter hasn't done anything. But he's still trying to get this fight on as well. And the correct decision was to pull it. But the question remains, what happens next? Will the British Boxing Board of Control, what will they do? Eddie Hearn is seemingly looking to go down a legal road with them, which is, we're kind of really seeing Eddie Hearn, the things that he said a couple of years ago he wouldn't be, he's starting to become. He was always the guy who was never taking legal action against anyone. Frank Warren was the guy who's gone up against the British Boxing Board, nearly bankrupted them as well. I think that was in the 90s. Now Eddie Hearn, I don't know if he's going to have as big a case as Frank Warren did, but he's going up against him now. We're seeing fighters leaving Eddie Hearn. We're seeing a lot less shows from Eddie Hearn. One show in the UK in the month of October. And if you take the Canelo fight out of the equation, was there only one Matchroom show in the month of September as well? 2 shows in 2 months in the UK, really, for Matchroom? Considering there was a time where we were getting shows almost fortnightly. Sometimes every 3 weeks. It was crazy. So it's really, and this has been happening before all this, I think that this is really going to hurt Eddie Hearn moving forward. He obviously gave an interview with Kugan Cassius, 40-minute interview. I got about 15 minutes in and I was like, none of the questions are being asked. And I seen people complaining that it was literally like the Kugan didn't ask Eddie Hearn any of the really difficult questions. So we'll see what happens there. In terms of UCAD and their situation, well, they're launching an investigation into Conor Benn. And if found to be, if not able to prove his innocence is how they worded it, he could face a 4-year ban. Now, I've heard a rumour that UCAD only tested Conor Benn once. May as well not have done anything at all. The fact of the matter is, if he only took one test and it came back clean, that doesn't prove or disprove anything. It proves you just... And the very interesting thing was the doctor, Conor Benn's doctor, I believe it was, who said how fighters can circumvent these tests. Because he said that between the hours of 11 p.m. to 7 a.m, you're not allowed to get drug tested. So if some of them are using stuff that's in and out of your body like that, it could be gone by then. The only thing that could catch you out is bad timing or something like that. So, I mean, that's a wider subject. It really is. But it's been a really strange week. There's been a lot of news, a lot of eyes on boxing for the wrong reasons. At the end of the day, the right thing happened. They should have pulled the fight, definitely. I feel more so for the undercard fighters because people like Ellie Scottney, they're not rich. They're probably not going to get paid an awful lot for the undercard fight. They probably put more money into camp. And now they're kind of... I think she's sore. I think she's back out on the Katie Taylor undercard, which isn't too bad. But still, like Felix Cash, people like that, I feel for them. I feel for those guys. And we shall wait and see. But in terms of Conor Benn, questions do need to be asked. I mean, I never really rated Conor Benn too highly. Pre-2020. I never really rated him too highly. I always thought he's going to get battered sooner or later because he's gone life and death with Cedric Paynow. And then he went from that. And again, look, you could say some of it is developing man strength and improvements. Yeah, fine. But even when he was... Conor Benn went through a stage where he wasn't getting that many knockouts. And if he was getting knockouts, they weren't spectacular knockouts. He never seemed to have devastating punching power. That's why I was always kind of still questioning it. Even now, I was like, his power doesn't... Yeah, he's had a couple of good knockouts his last few fights, but it never seemed boom, bam, crazy power. And then all of a sudden, he's laying out guys like Chris Algieri and Chris Van Heerden, stopping Samuel Vargas in a round. That was premature, to be fair, but still. And Chris Algieri even said he'd heard rumours going into this fight that Conor Benn wasn't exactly, you know what. And you're just thinking, how long has this been going on? If it has been going on, how long has it? It really does make you start, questioning things and thinking. It really does. In terms of the British Boxing Board of Control, this is going to sashay into the next one, okay? Obviously, Daniel Dubois, there was a lot of talk that he would be facing Dillian Whyte. There was a lot of talk about that. That seemingly has fallen apart. Dillian Whyte looks likely to be out on November 26th anyway, but against who, I do not know. He's got a new trainer now, obviously. But then there was talk of Caballel versus Daniel Dubois, which is not a bad fight. I think Caballel is just meh. But that fell through. So then, amazingly, they were going to bring out Lucas Big Daddy Brown. Because that amazing win over Junior Fa, which was a surprise win, but seriously, Lucas Brown, well, the boxing board won't sanction it. Thank God for that. Honestly, thank God they won't sanction that fight. That would have been scandalous. In terms of some of the fights that happened last night, Sebastian Fundora came back last night, came back to win in ways. Well, he never lost, but you know what I mean. He got another win over Carlos Campos, won a wide decision. Fundora is so bizarre. I just can't get over the size, weight. It's just so bizarre seeing someone that big weigh so little. And apparently he makes 154 pounds comfortably. I don't know how he does. I mean, honestly, it just baffles me. But he did what he needed to do. And, you know, he got the win. He's obviously targeting the fight with the winner of Charlo versus Zhu. I wouldn't pick him over Charlo. Not a hope. Not in the month of Sundays. I'm still not convinced on Fundora, to be honest with you. I've never looked at him and been impressed with him. I thought Sergio Garcia would beat him, and I think Sergio Garcia was unlucky in that fight not to get the nod, if I'm truly honest. It just, yeah. So he was fighting last night. Encajas lost again. No surprise really there, to be honest with you. And Carlos Adams stops Juan Macis Montiel. Stopped them in 3. So that was the PBC card that was on last night. You know, PBC normally do decent enough cards, to be fair. Yeah, it's normally not too bad with PBC. The fights that all seem to be happening this week. So obviously this week we have Shields Marshall on Saturday. So obviously it was meant to happen, I think, a month ago now. No, the 10th September. And then obviously the Queen died. That put an end to that. So we have it now. And in terms of the undercard fights, obviously the main one I'm looking at is Michaela Meyer versus Elise Baumgardner. I was picking Baumgardner first time around. I'm definitely picking her now because I think Michaela Meyer is going to struggle with the weight. I think that weight's going to drain her. In terms of the main event, I'm still picking Savannah Marshall to beat Clarissa Shields. I think she's just got the beating of her. I think Savannah Marshall beats Clarissa Shields, and I hope this fight doesn't get canned again for some other reason. I really hope not. I really hope we get to see this fight this week. And what else was there? Oh yeah, we obviously have 2 fights on Saturday night. On Sky we have a rematch, Devin Haney, George Kambosos Jr. I mean, like, you know when there's a fight that you're just not up for? I just can't get up for that fight. I cannot get up for this rematch. I really can't. I've seen it once, and I stayed up for it, and I was like, it was a good performance made by Haney, but it put me to sleep. You know, I had no trouble going to sleep after that fight. And I'm just thinking, what can Kambosos do different? Haney just controlled him with the jab. He didn't need to do anything else. And I'm just like, ugh, I'm not up for it. But then, with Deontay Wilder, Robert Helenius, and that kind of springs me back into life. The problem is it's on Fight TV, so I'm not going to do a watch-along for it. I would love to, but I'm not doing a watch-along. I don't have Fight TV. I'm not paying for it. And I really did think it would still be on Sky Sports. It's unfortunate it's not. But I can't wait to see how Wilder looks. He's looking a lot lighter, which is good. I think that's his best weight is when he's light. I think that he seems to have a twinkle back in his eye. He seems to be back. I don't want to say he ever fell out of love with boxing, but it's almost like he's relishing being a challenger again. And not just being a challenger and having a title shot. I know, yeah, he basically has a title shot if he beats Robert Helenius, but the fact of the matter is he's still trying to get there. I think he's relishing it, and I think he's in a good place. The only questions I have about Deontay Wilder is he's had 2 bad losses. He's going on 37, or he already is 37. How much is left in the tank for Deontay at this point, and will he be gun shy? Because that was a bad knockout he suffered against Tyson Fury in the last fight. He took a lot of shots before going down as well. And I just wonder what's left. You know, the Wilder who fought Ortiz and fought Brazil, he beat Robert Helenius in a couple of rounds, maybe even a round job. This Wilder, I don't know. I do not know. So Anthony Yarde, it's been announced that he'll be returning to the ring against Frank Warren's number one guy in Frank Warren's stable, to be confirmed. It appears he's on every single card that Frank Warren puts on. But all joking aside, he's going to fight someone, God knows who. And yeah, look, I can't imagine it's going to be anybody particularly good. Alright, I just can't imagine that anyone good is going to fight Anthony Yarde, because Yarde has a world title shot against Beterbiev guaranteed next year, and they ain't going to risk putting him there in a real 50-50 fight. I'd like it if I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Hopefully it's not like a bin man from Bulgaria that they drag out, or Slovakia, places like that. That's where they just seem to get all the fucking, just to knock me out and send me back to my bin man job. That's where like Anthony Yarde pretty much built his resume. So hopefully they don't get someone like that. Hopefully it's someone a little bit better. Because do you remember when he fought, I think it was in Telford, before he fought Lyndon Arthur, and the guy they fought, I don't know where he was from, I think he was from somewhere in East Europe, but he literally, the minute Yarde touched him, went down. And you could tell he wasn't even hurt, and it was just like, what on earth was that? What was the point in that? At this stage in your career, what the hell is the point in all that? So hopefully they get him someone semi-decent, who's semi-durable, who, could maybe give a little bit as good as he gets, because I'm sick of seeing, Anthony Yarde is what, 31? Yeah, he's 31, I think. He's 31. It was all well and good when he was 24, 25, newly turned pro, to be fighting, cream puffs. But it's not now. I mean, he's not getting any younger. So, hopefully it's not a bad opponent, real bad. Liam Davis versus Baluta? Who is he? He rings a bell. Didn't he fight Conlon? I think he did. That's a tough fight for Liam Davis. That's a tough fight. David Avanesian will defend his European title against Jean Miguel. I've never heard of Jean Miguel, but I've heard of David Avanesian, alright, so let's see how that goes. So Tyson Fury, okay, here we go. Let's talk about the whole Tyson Fury situation. So, in a week where Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, done, finished, see you later, bye bye, good luck, that's gone. It's looking worryingly more likely, and I mean worryingly more likely, that Fury versus Chisora is going to happen on December 3rd in Cardiff. Now look, yes, it's better than Manuel Char, but at this stage, Chisora just seems shot to pieces. His punch resistance seems gone. His work rate's not really there. But it's claimed the pair have agreed to meet, and this will be a trilogy fight. Crazy. It'll probably be on pay-per-view. Definitely. In the Principality Stadium, most likely. Chisora just finds a way, doesn't he? I mean, he is the quintessential a loss does you nothing. Because he's 12 losses, probably have 13 by the end of the year. And he's got to fight for a world title, more than likely, and make millions. It is quite crazy when you think about it, really. It really is quite crazy. I mean, I really don't know what to say. That's quite crazy when you actually think about it like that, in that sense that, like, after all that, he can still make crazy life-changing sums of money in spite of everything. Crazy. So Tyson Fury was interviewed by Michelle Joy Phelps, right? And he was asked about the Eddie Hearn Matchroom stable and Anthony Joshua. He said, look, their full stable's down the toilet. They've all been beaten. Katie Taylor's holding the stable up. That's all they've got. No interest in those guys. Look, Eddie Hearn has taken so much L's with the stable that you can kind of see where he's coming from. And realistically, if you ask me, I mean, like, obviously AJ is always going to be a draw, but, like, he's nowhere near the draw he used to be. Conor Benn, I mean, his rep's going to take a massive hit by this. Who else does Eddie Hearn have? Literally Katie Taylor. If you're talking about in the UK, Katie Taylor, literally. Because Canelo was in the US, and there's no guarantee he's going to stay with the zone. He could go PBC, fight Dave Benavidez, which I'd quite like to see that fight, or Charlo. More so Benavidez, but still. So in the UK, like, realistically, like, Katie Taylor is really it. And how long does Katie Taylor have in the sport? You know, I'd say give Katie Taylor another year and she's probably gone. So that's literally it. It's crazy to see. Because Josh Warrington, I hope I didn't say Josh Taylor earlier. Josh Warrington is a draw. And he's a name, but he's only a name really in Leeds and the north of the UK, probably more so than he would be anywhere else. So that's it really. And you know, I've seen AJ, there's talk he's going to be back in December 17th, the date he originally wanted. I heard rumours in the live I did tonight that it's going to be Chris Arreola. I really hope it's not Chris Arreola. Ugh, really? No disrespect to Chris Arreola, but really, Chris Arreola, they can do better than that. Surely they can do better than that. But the venue is apparently the Wembley Arena. Now, I've been to the Wembley Arena. It's a grand little arena, but little being the operative word. It looks a lot bigger on TV than it does in real life, I'll tell you that. And it's kind of a surprise to me that Joshua would be in the Wembley Arena and not the O2 or a bigger arena than that. That really is kind of, when I heard that, I was like, really? The Wembley Arena for Joshua? The first thing I thought was, that's just a bit small. Would they not put him in the O2? Do they worry that maybe Joshua, that his star has dwindled so much? And of course, the opponent doesn't help. But do they worry that it dwindled so much and the opponent is going to be so low in terms of compared to what he has been fighting, that the O2 isn't viable? That it could be the fact that he just needs to go to the Wembley Arena and just to fill it out. And as I said, the Wembley Arena is fine. It's a great little arena, but it's not that big. Yeah, it's bigger than, it's big enough, but it's not bigger than the O2. And it looks, I've seen it on TV and it looks big, and I've been in it, and I was kind of surprised by how small it is on the inside. I was kind of expecting a lot more. So yeah. That's with Anthony Joshua. In terms of everything else that's been going on in boxing, let's have I think I've only been going for about 20 minutes, so I'll keep it going for another few. I don't think there's much really else. I think it's mainly been dominated by... I'm just reading the Ring Magazine rankings here. And they have Tyson Fury out of their rankings. So it's Usyk as champion, Joshua 1, Wilder 2, Joyce 3, Ruiz 4, White 5, Ortiz 6, Parker 7, Hrgovic 8, Sanchez 9, Zhilei Zhang 10. It's weird the way they have Fury out of their rankings. I know he vacated the title, but he's not retired. So surely he'd be back in at number 1, you'd say. Strange. There's not really much else to think. Let's get on to boxing scene and have an old look-see of what's going on. Is there anything really more? Ruiz wants Wilder, Fury, Usyk, Joshua, and a retirement fight in Mexico. Okay, but you're going to want to have to fight more than once a year, once every 18 months to get that. See, Velasquez got the win. I already touched on that. I don't think there's that much else, lads. I mean, the week was really dominated by the failed PED test on Conor Benn. That's really kind of where it's been. And that's really all I can see. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much else there. So what I'll do is I will end it there. I've already kind of given my 2 cents on everything, talked about the PED issue with Conor Benn and the show being Benn. And that was mainly the bulk of what we were talking about in this, truth be told. Obviously, previewing a few of the fights. AJ Fury off. Looks like we're getting Fury, Chisora 3, AJ Arreola. Ugh. Really? Do we have to? So yeah, I think we went long enough there. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll try and get a prediction for Shields Marshall out tomorrow, because I fly out on Tuesday morning. Yeah, Tuesday at 7 I'm flying out. I'm not home till Friday night pretty much. So I'll still be able to do a review of the fights here. But obviously when I fly away, I'll bring in the new stand this time because it's bigger. So this stand I'm using, this has seen many rooms in many different countries, in many different parts of Ireland, but it's staying home for a change. I'm going to try out the new one because I think it might be better. It just might be better. So we'll see. But yeah, I'll leave you with that, people. You still get videos from me. You'll get a nice hotel room background, so I hope you enjoy that. And yeah, I hope we all have a good week this week. Obviously, last week for me was just a week to remember. It was brilliant. You know, as I said, I've been on a bit of a downer the last couple of weeks. It's been a bit crap. And yeah, that made my whole week. I'm still kind of pretty happy about it now. I'm still smiling about it. It's a great feeling, you know, when you hate a job given in your notice. It really is. Really is. It's a flipping great feeling. Might not be. It's like everything. Like, it might not be perfect, but it's better. And if you're ever in a situation where you're just, because you're always going to be unhappy, you know, no one's ever going to be happy all the time. There's always going to be times when you're unhappy. But the key is it's just not staying unhappy. Don't stay that way. And if it's something's pissing you off, basically change it. That's what I've always been. Young or old, if something is you're not happy with, just change it. You know, because if you keep just wishing and hoping it'll get better when you can clearly tell it's not gonna, you may as well just change it, because it's just gonna drag you down. So I had a good week last week. I hope this week's gonna be even better. It definitely will. And again, I hope for my subscribers, I always say, this week, Monday morning it goes out, there will be good news for someone this week. I truly hope that. I'm praying there is. And yeah, we'll have a good week. So people, hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. We're getting there, lads. We're getting closer and closer and closer to the old 10k. We're up 100 subs in a week. That's not too bad. So we're up 100 subs in a week, and let's do it. Let's keep it going. Let's do another 100 subs this week. See if we can do it. Smash the like button, lads. For now, I'll talk to you